I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for coming out tonight and spending a few minutes with us learning about your body, about your health, and how you can really unlock optimal wellness for you in your body, in your mind, and basically in all areas of your life. So we're going to go ahead and dive right in tonight. We are still in our Secrets of Metabolic Mastery series. And tonight we're talking about unlocking optimal wellness through metabolic detoxification. And so, as always, every single week, we're talking about the 4 pillars of optimal wellness. And so we're always going back and looking at all 4 pillars at the same time, where we're looking at balancing cellular fuel delivery, lifting metabolic and immune function, clarifying toxic buildup, and stabilizing endocrine function, and then calming daily stress and restoring nutritional energy. And so in our series so far, we have talked about, are you suffering from stress metabolism? And where we talked about our stress quiz and how much stress that we have in our lives and how stress affects our metabolism. And then we talked about setting goals right so that we are creating plans of action that will help us to reach our goals, as well as, that are doable every single day and that we can measure them and all those things. Then we talked about eating from energy and keeping our blood sugar balanced from sunrise to sunset. And then we had our special presentation with Jennifer Pressimone, all about aromatherapy and releasing what no longer serves us. And then last week, we talked about loving our liver and really how to combat and prevent and reverse and all the things the fatty liver and congested liver buildup. And then tonight, we're talking about metabolic detoxification and why it matters. Now, so metabolic detoxification. Metabolic detoxification in the context of human biochemistry, this can be described as specific metabolic pathway active throughout the human body that processes unwanted chemicals for elimination. Now, this pathway, which we call metabolic detoxification, basically involves a series of enzymatic reactions that neutralize and solubilize toxins and transport them from the through the organs like the liver and the kidneys so that they can be then excreted from the body. Now, this type of detoxification, in science, we tend to call it xenobiotic metabolism, because it is basically the primary mechanism for ridding the body of xenobiotics, which are what in science they call foreign chemicals, right? Now, the thing is that this same exact detoxification pathway is how we also get rid of unneeded, endogenously produced chemicals, or basically chemicals that we produce in our own body, right? So this is everything from excess hormones to, signaling molecules, to chemical messengers, even vitamins, inflammatory molecules, other types of chemicals that are created as a part of our immune system. These are eliminated in the body by this enzymatic detoxification system, as well as environmental toxins and even prescription drugs, right? And so these reactions are not only important from protection from like the outside environment, but also it is central to the homeostasis balance in the body. Now, I will say that the body is very effective at detoxifying itself. It literally does it every day, all day, but providing the body with essential vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients is the best way to ensure proper detoxification. So how does the body detoxify? So I'm going to go over this pathway of detoxification. If you're new, this might be the first time you're seeing this. If you've been here, if you've been with us for a while, this might look familiar to you, but I want to go over it because this is really, really, really important to understand and remember. Because the way it works is we're always detoxifying at the cellular level first. And then so the cell gets detoxified, and we're going to go into details about how that works here tonight. And so we detoxify out of the cell. And then that is going into the organs and the tissues. And then it goes on down through the lymphatic system as it's detoxed from there. And then you have the liver, the kidneys, the lungs, right, are the skin are the overflow pathways, and then into the colon, and then down and eliminated out of the body. So if it's eliminated out through the kidneys, it's often urine, right? And then if it goes out through the colon, it's going out in fecal matter. Now you can also eliminate toxins out through the skin, through your, you can sweat it out. We also can respirate out as well. So like you're breathing out of your toxins in your, like that your lungs want to get rid of as well. So this is the way, this is the path. So where are we going to be focused? We want to make sure all of these are clear, right? So we want to make sure that the pathway is good for it to be getting out, but the detoxification really is starting in the cell. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So signs that you may have toxic buildup in the body. This is really interesting because if you have a lot of toxins building up in your body, it can contribute to a number of conditions, including like that stuffy head feeling, fatigue or difficulty sleeping, indigestion, gastrointestinal upset, food cravings, weight gain, reduced mental clarity, low libido, right? Skin that's not looking its best. As a matter of fact, almost always, if you're having skin like dullness or like it just doesn't look amazing, you're having maybe some skin issues, usually related to some kind of detoxification challenge. And then also joint discomforts and things like that. So these are like general symptoms. These can actually represent a lot of things, but generally these are responses that we get to this toxic buildup in our body. So where do these toxins come from, right? Now, the human body has exposure to both endogenous, right, from our own body, chemicals that are made in our own body, toxins, and also external toxins on a daily basis, right? So this puts pressure on the body's natural metabolic detoxification capacity. Now, the thing is that our environment contains close to 80,000 novel chemicals that are registered with the United States Environmental Protection Agency. So we encounter many potentially harmful exposures every single day, from pollutants to pesticides, household chemicals, all of these things, air and water pollutants, cigarette smoke, personal care products, heavy metals, household cleaning products, pesticides, preservatives, additives, all of these things, they can put stress on many of our body systems. So we also need to give consideration to the types of food that we're consuming, because many of the foods that we eat can contribute to toxin exposure. So highly processed foods, excess sugar, artificial flavors, colors, pesticides, all of that contribute to the toxin load in our body. So how does detoxification happen in the body, right? Well, there's basically 3 steps or phases of removing toxins from your body, right? And so the way it happens is essentially in 3 phases. And what these phases are, phase one is basically unlocking or transforming, right? These toxins. So the stored toxin is transformed into an unlocked state. So the way it works is our cells are generally covered in a lipid layer or a fat layer, right? And it has, and so what goes in there is usually fat soluble. Things that are fat soluble easily enter the cell and easily leave the cell. But in order for water soluble things to go in and out of the cell, they have to be transformed into something that that could get in, because as we know from like when we were in elementary school, right, oil and water do not mix, right? So in order for the things to get in the cell and out of the cell, we need to transform the water soluble, but we do that through a series of protein transporters that actually get on the cell and help the things to move in and out of the cell. So then phase two is the neutralization stage. Now, what's interesting is we use a series of enzymes at this stage to help metabolize the substance that was produced in phase one, right, as it was converted to unlock it, in order for it to become even more water soluble. Now, here's what's interesting. In phase one, when we change the chemical, the toxin, into something that is more water soluble, that actually usually makes it more toxic, right? And so very quickly, the body needs to neutralize it so that it doesn't dump back into our body and cause even more challenges, right? And this really happens a lot with hormones. And we know that estrogen's a big one, right? So we get what's called toxic estrogen buildup in the body. You can also get it with pretty much every toxin, but I'm just going to reference estrogen for tonight. So very quickly need to neutralize it. And then phase three is to eliminate it, right? And so what happens in phase three detoxification is that the toxin is basically taken from the cell and moved for excretion throughout the body. So through the organs, the tissues, and everything else, like we talked about earlier. So how do we support this process, right? Well, there's a number of ways that we're going to do it, and we're going to talk about some lifestyle ways, and then we're going to get into some very some nutrient ways that we can also support this process as well. So specifically, the biggest thing that we can do is remove toxins from your environment, right? So eliminate toxic or chemical substances such as paints, insecticides, and dyes from your house, from your work. Like, just limit your exposure as much as possible. We also want to continue working on removing toxins from our diet, right? We want to continue to make healthy, whole food choices and drink choices. We want to avoid foods that are high in refined sugar and preservatives, right? And when possible, we want to opt for organics. The other thing we want to do is we want to stay hydrated, right? We want to keep ourselves hydrated because that helps us to maintain a balance of bodily fluids. And most importantly, it supports the elimination phase, that phase three of detoxification. It helps to really push everything out. And the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure we're moving every day, right? Because exercise facilitates the removal of toxins. So if you just incorporate 30, 45 minutes, right? And it could just be walking, right? If you get 10,000 steps a day, or if you want to jog, or maybe you like to swim, or anything that's getting you sweating and moving so that you can move those lymph fluids around, so that you can get the circulation moving around. All of this stuff helps to facilitate elimination and detoxification in the body. And then we also want to find ways to relax and to reduce stress and to limit inflammation. Because if you remember, I said that a lot of these toxins are can be produced in the body as result of immune function, right? Like our immune system just doing what it does every single day, our glandular system's doing what it does every single day. It produces these endogenous inside our body toxins. And so we want to work on reducing stress so that we're not creating as much of that cortisol and adrenaline buildup in the body, right? We want to work on reducing inflammation so that we're not creating all of the inflammatory immune processes, right? And so we want to work on that daily, right? So 10 minutes of deep breathing, especially right now in the fall. We want to really be working on respiratory breathing and really connecting with our breath, expanding our lungs every single day. It's really, really key as we get ready and prepare our body for winter. Meditation and prayer, right? Gentle massage are great ways to help to reduce stress and also move toxins through the body. Face-to-face social interaction is so key, especially as it starts to get colder outside and we start to revert back into our homes. That social interaction that we might not be getting as much, it really, we want to focus on making sure we're getting that. Sitting in silence, walking with a friend or animal companion, and reading and journaling are all really, really, really great ways for us to find ways to relax and to reduce stress and inflammation. There are some nutrients that are really, really supportive in helping phase 1, 2, and 3 in detoxification. So real quick, I'm just going to give you 1 or 2 for each phase. Phase 1. Phase 1 is we really want to be supporting our body with antioxidants, right? So we're at this phase 1, basically oxidizing a toxin at this point. So we want to work on having more antioxidants in our bodies. So there's a lot of great antioxidants out there, but you got all of your colorful vegetables and your colorful fruits, resveratrol, lots of great things like that, right? In phase 2, your body will use a catalyst to neutralize. And so there's a lot of them that we could talk about. There's gonna be a few in the product that we're talking about in just a minute. But specifically, some of the ones are curcumin, right? Resveratrol, quercetin, all of these types of nutrients that you can find. And just to give you, like, quercetin is in Excel. It's also in Solclaris. I mean, it's in so many of our products. Curcumin, you hear me talk about all the time, and Solflex PI. This is just another reason supporting our metabolism and even metabolic detoxification is just another reason why I think Solflex PI should be here daily. So if you haven't heard me say that enough, here it is again, another plug for Solflex PI tonight. And so you have all of these different nutrients that we can have, and we can also get it from food, right? So another thing that we can do is like your sulfur compounds that you're going to find in onions and garlic and things like that. All of those things support this natural metabolic detoxification in the body. And then we have our phase 3 detoxification was transporting out. So you want to make sure we're getting fiber and all of these things to help to bind and transport these things out. So when I was thinking about this subject tonight, and I was thinking about all of the products that we have, and we have tons of them, there's one product that when I think about daily detoxification, if I could only have one product every single day, and I knew that this product was going to really, really help me in multiple ways, like it was going to hit all 3 of those phases of detoxification, it's going to keep me hydrated and all the things, that's going to be vital for me, right? And I think it's a powerhouse. So I've asked Greg to come tonight and tell us about how Vital can help us to support daily detoxification in the body.
Yes, thanks, Erica. I mean, I love that you chose Vital, because I 100% agree. I would pick the same thing. If I had to pick just one thing, I would pick Soul Vital. And you already said it, but that's the first thing. Well, I wanted to lead with something else, but I'll just add, it does absolutely play a major role in all 3 of those phases of detoxification in all three. And that's why Vital is so effective. We call it a little bit of a gentle detoxer because it's like you said, I view it as a daily detoxer. In other words, it's because some things we do to detox force a much harsher reaction that might be necessary. But Vital works constantly with a gentler but constant energy toward detox that can be applied every day because it's needed every day. But this is one thing I want to say before I jump into kind of a little more detail in that. I always get thinking back. First of all, if you want to learn and you want to think, come to one of Erica's master classes. If you like thinking and reasoning and applying what you already know to what she's going to tell you and thinking through this new information so that you can help yourself more and other people, come to Erica's class, because that's the effect that it has on me. Because I was thinking about Vital because she asked me to talk about it. And I always think about the vital organs because Vital really was designed first, I will tell you, originally as a heart product. Originally, it was designed as a heart product, but as we completed the formula, it really is something that addresses, if you look at Chinese philosophy, those 6 vital organs. And here's the thinking part. And the reason for my comment on coming to Erica's classes. If you sit back and think a little bit about those 6 vital organs, your heart and your kidneys and your lungs and your liver and your pancreas and your spleen. Have I forgotten one? Did I get all of them? Should have been 6. Ask yourself, does any one of these not have a role in body's daily detoxification? If you think about it for just a minute, they all do. And we just don't classify them that way. We classify certain organs as your detox organs. But the truth is they all have a role. And when you interrupt or you take out a piece of it, so it's, it's a piece of it is weak, a link of the chain is weak, then the body has to go to suboptimal processes because it's so amazing it can to still detox. And then but then it's compromised, though the most vital detoxing will happen. And so over time, we can become weakened, but in the short run, we can function. So my comment is that Soul Vital, one of the reasons why it is so good is because it does nourish in a major way all 6 of those organs that we absolutely cannot do without. Why is it working in all 3 of the detoxing areas that Erica shared with us? Well, think about the 3 groups of herbs in Soul Vital. When we talk about it, a lot of times we group the 14 herbs that are in Vital, we group them into 3 groups: the chlorophylls, the minerals, and the adaptogens. And those are the 3, that's one way of grouping them. I will never forget when we were finishing the formula for Soul Vital, it was around the time that there was a large nuclear disaster in Japan. And there were a couple of articles published showing that a really good extract of chlorophyll could help protect from the effects of radiation and help someone exposed to heal through it. Okay. Now I'm using my own words there. I'm paraphrasing, but I wished that we had it and that, and we had connections and that people could have gotten it and just drunk Vital through that process. Because I know that this whole aspect that we understand so little of, electromagnetic radiation and just various types of radiations, which are just part of our world, and they do lots of things that help us in quality of life, but nobody really knows or will know for, I think, of decades, the real effect that it has upon us in our health. But we do know lots of really important protections that this green pigment in plants that's literally covers our earth can do. It's just that we don't eat nearly enough of it. Nobody does. And that's why we have it in Vital. It's like 20 times what you would get from another decent chlorophyll supplement that might be in liquid form, which was the way that I was involved with it for my first 20 years in the industry. but chlorophyll degrades within 48 hours to about 8%. This is the statistic that you're not going to hear published as much. If you leave it in liquid within 48 hours, it'll be 8% of the potency. So you can still do lots of great things. Just make sure you drink a whole bunch of it. Or you can store it in a powder form as we do and mix it and drink it immediately and just have these multiples of benefit. So chlorophyll is a protector, but it's also like that stage 2 neutralizer. It's an incredible neutralizer. It strengthens blood. I mean, speaking of all the ways we could list, I promise you that just thinking this through for 3 or 4 minutes, in my head, I feel like I'm beyond 100 different detoxing aspects that are directly influenced by SolVital. So, and I think that the number would be several hundred, and that just sounds like a lot, and it sounds like hyperbole, but not if you really look at all the things that have to be, that we learn over time for our body to do this amazing detoxing every day. So what compromises it? What makes it a little less effective, a little less efficient, not completing the process? And what also, conversely, when we change in nutrition, makes up ground and provides an opportunity for us to see improvement and feel improvement in things. Chlorophyll is one of those things. It's one of those nutrients. It can play that role. And so in SolVital, there are 4, not just one. We didn't just find a good one and go, hey, yeah, we got that in there too. Let's green it up. There are 4 because they come from different sources. And I don't believe that science understands all the reasons why they work the way they do, and how different plants with the same substances have different effects in us, different beneficial effects. I know that we can understand some of that. I don't think that we understand all of it. And part of that acknowledgement is why we have 4 kinds of chlorophyll. They have dual purposes. The sources for chlorophyll do other things too that directly aid in detoxing. But I would just say, for the sake of simplicity tonight, chlorophylls, what a great neutralizer and detoxer in that. Now, the second group is minerals. I look at the minerals as that bank account deposit that your body needs. I don't know, if kidneys and everything they do, speaking of just our subject tonight, it's huge and it's more pervasive in other things than we might think. In other words, not just some of the direct, like it's a function on our urinary health and on eliminating through liquid, like Erica said, the big role kidneys play in all of that. I think they play a huge role in new blood cells and in lots of semi-indirect functions that still tie right to kidneys. This is a kidney product extraordinaire. SolVital is a kidney product extraordinaire. We can't count the number of stories of people with varying degrees of kidney imbalance. And we're talking, diagnosed on paper, here's percent of function that's not optimal or even close to it. How many have been able to move their number? Because it's a really trackable thing. They can go in and get tests. So I love it when people work with their doctor on kidneys and they work with Vital. So Vital's like this mineral bank account, because minerals are important for everything, but also a huge kidney. And some of the kidney strengthener and reactivator, and some of the components in there that are these minerals have proclivity toward certain other organs like your lungs. We've got nettle in there, burdock, your heart, clearly dandelion, your kidneys and urinary tract. And then we have the seed of oat straw, just the seed. And so that group, another big, long discussion. And if you wrote them all and we listed, if Erica wanted to give you a bunch of lists, I think the number would be into the hundreds of specific functions to do with metabolic detoxification. And then the last group is your adaptogens. And that list is the longest of all. There's 6 of them. I mean, by definition, adaptogens are so very, very complete. And each of them also have their proclivity. I mean, they do have their emphasis, though they're also balanced. But I wanted to mention with adaptogens, so this is that third group in SolVital. The point that Erica brought up about endogenous toxins. And I'm not sure there's a bigger group. I mean, all our wonderful human-made chemicals, we cause lots of problems with that, though they perform all sorts of really kind of miraculous functions in manufacture and in other things, in technology. But they also are crazy harmful. So many of them, in my opinion. I'm one of those that it's not that I think everything is killing you in any moment. I'm not that extreme. But I am one who believes that so very many of these have a negative effect that puts more load on the body, and our body's amazing and can handle it, but it gets overwhelmed. So I do think that's a big issue. Don't think it's as big as issue as stress. Personally, this is personal opinion, because I think stress happens a lot faster and more relentlessly. And our body does create a lot of chemicals. We are biochemical, and we don't efficiently process that because of all the things that Erica taught. Intake, lifestyle. I mean, let's, put the list out there and we would all go, yep. I mean, that's kind of how we deal with in life. So having a group of herbs that strengthen our stress response and make it more healthy, in addition to aiding nutritionally in some of these detoxification processes, but also strengthening the stress response and the creation of those chemicals that we ourselves are responsible for inside of us. I don't know anything better than adaptogens for that. And that's why we have 6 of them. There's a variety of 6 covering all sorts of bases there, covering all sorts of ground and terrain that is unknown to us, except for that we do know the consequence. We do know how we feel afterward. And so vital. I hope that, if you take nothing more out of my comments tonight, then, okay, we've got these 3 groups. This chlorophyll is this amazing neutralizer protector, and these minerals that are amazing connectors that make the functions interplay the way they're supposed to. And then these wonderful adaptogens that constantly nourish how we respond to stress. That's why Vital works so well in detoxing. That's why it's basic. It's super, super easy. It really is a powerhouse. It's super easy to add in every day. And let me just say one last, I couldn't help but see a chat. I loved the chats, but one caught my eye. It was like, it's so hard to manage stress, or something like that. The chat was. I agree, because if we take stress as a big picture, it's overwhelming. But one thing that's easy to manage is to pick something from the list that Erica put up. Pick a thing that we're going to put into a day. We can totally manage that. We can pick a small thing that's guaranteed positive. And actually, that is how you manage stress. You plug one in, you pick things. Those positive things, in my opinion, are more powerful than the negative ones. We choose them, we carry them out. We can do that. We can help each other with ideas and support. But I do think that it is easy to put positive intervention of stress into our life. We can do it nutritionally, Vital, and we can do it by plugging in some of these ideas. Anyway, back to you, Erica.
I love it. And I'm gonna play off of that last comment for a moment, because I know that, like, for me, with going to the holidays and everything else, and weather changes and whatnot, I've experienced a change in stress level. It has been heightened in the last few days, and so much so that, like, I was even like feeling like my joints and everything else. And that was my thing, was like, what can I do? Like, and so I'm going to just sit in silence for a minute and let the world take care of itself. What can I do for myself for just a moment, and add that in? And I'll tell you what's interesting about it is, this morning I woke up craving Vital, right? And my body will do this. Like, I normally in the summer, it's easy. I'll drink like 5 Vitals a day because it's really super hot in Texas, but it's been really chilly for the last week or so. And so I'm not drinking as much Vital. And today my body said, hey, we need some more of that in our lives. And I always drink at least one, but today I'm on number 3 right now. And like, my body's looser. Like, everything is starting to be looser, not quite as tight. And I'm not really doing a whole lot different. My body's just processing it. I'm just supplying it the minerals and the tools and everything else. I've also been very aware of breathing and eating and all of those things today as well. So when we do those positive things, our body just kind of takes care of it. And the beauty of that is I don't have to focus on why I'm stressed and like really try to figure out the pieces. My body just starts to release it. And then as I start to feel better naturally, then my brain can say, oh, that's not, we don't really need to worry about that. Or, oh, we can take care of this over there. And we can do this to, you know, solve for that issue. And so as my body begins to release and I have these nutritional tools and the lifestyle tools to do it, I'm able to then get better. And so I drink a lot of Vital and I just drink it until like I said, in the summertime, I could take 5 Vitals in a day in the summertime because it's hot and my body just craves it. But very frequently take 2 or 3 Vitals a day just because my body wants it. So I would recommend you listen to your body. I saw one about their husband gets an upset stomach from Vital. So I want to tell you all a story because I actually have a member who had an experience where Vital was almost too strong for her because of her lifestyle and everything that she had going on and the imbalance in her body. When she first started on Vital, it did give her like an upset stomach or even like a heartburn kind of experience. And it's not the Vital, it's the body's reaction to the Vital, right? And so for her, first of all, we just like put it in a lot more water and then sipped it more slowly throughout the day, right? Like, so like, you know, instead of just drinking it like in 20 minutes or whatever, she drank it over like a little bit of time. But the other thing that we noticed is that as she continued to put it in, the body starts to heal. So if you are having, and especially Vital, we don't have time to go into it tonight, but there's some really, really powerful things about healing the gut lining and specifically the inflammatory response of the gut lining that you're getting in Vital. And so there are something, and the neutralization of those key enzymes, phase 2 detoxification that happens in the gut. All of that's happening. Vital's really supporting with that. So if you are getting like an upset stomach, I would recommend not necessarily to just quit, right? But to stick with it, but maybe dilute it out. You could turn it into ice cubes and then put like 1 ice cube per cup of water and then have it like over a whole day, but still continue to go with it because part of the response of detoxification sometimes looks like something not as, you know, like something challenging, right? And not as fun. So I want to say that as well. Again, if you're having like bloating, indigestion, any of those types of things, and you've added Vital and it's like a new add, I'm going to tell you that more than likely that's actually the detox reaction that you're actually experiencing. Again, same suggestion, use it more diluted, spread it out over the course of time, and really and truly allow your body to heal, because I really believe that Vital is foundational to activating everything else across the board. And here's the other thing. It's like, if you didn't like it, if you took it and you didn't like it, it's probably because your body really, really needed it, right? Because of that imbalance that's happening in your body. Because I'll tell y'all, if you haven't heard my story before, this was one of the drinks I started on, and for 2 weeks, literally gagged. And not just like, I thought it smelled good, but when I would start to drink it, like I would be like, oh, I can't get this down. And but then my body started craving it and I couldn't figure it out. And so I'm telling you, like there's just something about it that when your body is out, and remember, I had stress illness, right? Like I had so much stress in my body that all of my endocrine system and everything was just absolutely haywire. So I was actually combating all of those endogenous chemicals that were toxic to my body. And so when I started on Vital, it was the one that my body was like, oh, we cannot be having this, but my body really needed it. So I would challenge you, if you just feel like it's hard for you, give it one more shot. Like do it again, because I believe that if your body like really resists it a lot, it's because your body really needs Vital, because Vital is just one of those products that I seem to see that in your body, that's what's happening. And thank you guys so much. Thank you, Greg, for coming out tonight. I appreciate you as always. And thank you everybody for your time, and y'all have a great night. We'll see you next Tuesday.